Hey there, I'm an animated Connor Walsh, which is kind of ironic because people say I'm pretty animated in real life. Anyway, welcome to Walsh Wednesday, my new/old podcast. Let me explain. Back in high school in 2013, I was pressured by some friends to do an impromptu solo acoustic performance in my cafeteria. Believe it or not, people really took to it. And it turned into a monthly musical series I did through the rest of high school. Who said High School Musical wasn't realistic? By college, I turned Walsh Wednesday into a web series, focusing on interviews surrounding community events, charities, and local entertainment in the Hudson Valley and capital regions of New York. Walsh Wednesday spawned several spin-offs such as the Walsh Wednesday Concert Series, Walsh Wednesday Spotlights, and Walsh Wednesday The Reflective Series before its hiatus in 2021. After that, I spent the last 3 years working in radio, honing my craft, conducting unbelievable interviews, traveling to fascinating places, attending mind-blowing events, and meeting some of my personal heroes. Now, with the help of some awesome people I've met along the way, I'm bringing Walsh Wednesday back bigger and better than ever. Let's stay curious, keep an open mind, and as always, I'm glad we get to spend some time. Welcome to Walsh Wednesday. Thank you to our Walsh Wednesday All-Stars, all of those who have generously contributed to the Walsh Wednesday 2025 Fund Drive. You can see the list of names on screen or in the description of this episode. And of course, thank you to our Walsh Wednesday Warriors, Jim Robinson, John Newhall, Meg Boyce, and Jenna Hess. These individuals have pledged $100 or more to Walsh Wednesday for 2025, either through the GoFundMe or our Patreon. This episode of Walsh Wednesday is brought to you by Impact PR and Communications, MHA of Dutchess County, the Council on Addiction Prevention and Education of Dutchess County Incorporated, Dayrock, Locks That Rock Hair Design, A Touch of Naples Pizza and Pasta, Dutchess Beer Distributors, Feldman, Kleiman, Collins, and Sape LLP, Attorneys at Law, Tonka Williams on Aortic Health Awareness, and Walsh Valuation. Hey there, and welcome back to Walsh Wednesday. As always, I'm Connor Walsh, and we got a great episode for you guys today. I think this is a first for me. I don't think I've ever talked to anybody specifically about a school here in the Hudson Valley, but this is a very unique school, and I'm really excited to talk about the number of programs that they have going on, setting them apart from other academic institutions in and around the area. So with us today from the Mizzentop School in Pawling, we have Martin Bernstein, Director of Advancement. Martin, how are you, man?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And shout out to Impact PR and Communications for getting us together, of course. I know, good group of people over there. Thank you, Paige. I'm really excited to talk about this today, especially because, we're in August right now. School's about to start up. So, enrollment, admission, you see all the back to school stuff at all the stores. This is a hot topic right now. So Mizzentop School is very interesting, the way that you go about things, and I'm curious to go into everything. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of it and the very specific topics, could you give a brief overview of what the school's like for anybody who's never heard of you guys?
Mizzentop Day School, well, my first experience with it was, I'd heard about it. I was working at a different school at the time, and I saw something pop up. And I wanted to meet the staff there. I wanted to see the school. It's a young school, so it was started in 1998, which is attractive to me because a lot of private schools are quite a bit older than that, especially in this region.
Fair.
And there was just kind of this startup quality that it was just I could tell from the website that this was a new, fresh, interesting take on education without being too kooky or weird, because I have worked at some of those schools too. So I went down there. Very interesting looking campus, not sort of your classical elitist, glass and beautiful oak and all that. It's a very grounded school, I would say. So I came in there, did an interview, met the staff there and the kids. And I have 3 kids of my own, and I could just tell these kids were thriving. And I could tell why, because I got to meet, they kind of sent me around to different classrooms, different admin offices. And there was just this joy and I've worked at several places where there is just very little joy. We're getting our job done. I go to my kids' school. I see the same sort of lackluster energy. There was none of that. It was so joyous, and the kids were excited, and there was just this energy. And I immediately wrote after that interview, and I said, I want to be part of your organization.
That's awesome.
So it's in the heart of Pawling. It is so the reason I say it's an interesting campus is because it was never built as a campus. It was built as a sort of a series of buildings on this 8-acre lot in beautiful downtown, maybe uptown Pawling, by Norman Vincent Peale, who has nothing to do with our school. We purchased the campus from his family, but Norman Vincent Peale has this presence in Pawling and at our school because the buildings came up around his organization, including guideposts. So Norman Vincent Peale, just a brief overview, kind of one of the first sort of televangelists that and self-help book writers. In the 50s, he wrote a best-selling book. It's still very popular, called The Power of Positive Thinking.
Oh, that was him.
That was
okay.
him.
I'm familiar with
Yes.
the book. Okay.
And so super successful. Built this this campus for his organizations. Eventually that they moved on. We purchased the campus. Well, we moved into the campus in 2002, but we purchased it just a couple years ago.
Okay.
We were leasing from them.
Oh, congrats on that. That's
thank you so
nice.
much.
That's nice.
It's nice because now that we own it, we've had 2 decades. The school has had 2 decades to kind of think about, like, what would we do if we owned this campus? And now we're there.
Yeah.
Which is scary, but super exciting because there's a lot to do. It's a
Yeah.
great campus. It somehow functions as a school, but it can function much better. So we have about 170 enrolled. It's co-ed, pre-K through 8th. And like I said, it's not an elitist school, but it is elite. Like academically incredibly rigorous. Our students, our 8th graders, go on to some of the best boarding schools and private schools in the country. We have alums that went to Princeton and Yale and all these places, Columbia, but they are bringing with them, I think, this the living values, which I'd love to talk to you about.
Yeah.
There is this sort of approach to academia that is not super rooted in the traditional academic milieu. It's a lot more the whole child, kindness.
It's very holistic in that sense, it sounds.
Very holistic. It's non-political. It's non-religious. We really just want these kids to go out into the world as the best possible human being and also be, academically challenged.
Yeah.
We want them to challenge themselves.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So I went to a private school when I was younger as well. I went to a Catholic
where'd you
private
go?
school. I went to St. Peter's in Hyde Park.
Oh, cool.
Technically not there, but technically still there. They have a weird deal going on with Holy Trinity, so the building's still used.
I
but
gotcha, yeah.
I don't know if it's still technically called St. Peter's. I don't know how that works. But one thing that I found very nice about it, something you mentioned, it's about 170 kids currently, what you have. I think the peak while I was there at St. Peter's, about maybe 250. Still, that's a nice community. I got to know everybody.
Yep.
That I was there with from pre-K through 8th grade. So I'm assuming it's the same thing there. Just before we can even get into the actual academics, I'm just assuming the community aspect must be fantastic.
Yeah. That's right. I did not go to a school like that, and I wish. I say this all the time. I wish I went to Mizzentop. I was in a huge class, and I was lost in that class, but I also then was kind of rebellious and blah, blah, blah. There were too many kids. So these are small class sizes, and most grades will have 1 class, and then some are large enough where we split them into 2 because we want to keep those small class sizes. Everybody gets to know each other. It's not, we get students from all over the region. So 6 different counties, Connecticut, New York. So they're really coming from a large area. But once you get into the doors of Mizzentop, it's a small, tight-knit community. You'll see on the playground 3rd graders playing with the 1st graders and the 5th graders playing with the 8th graders. And, there's like, I don't know. There's just and also the teachers get to know their students years before they even have them.
Yeah, that was a big thing too. At St. Peter's, where I was at, there were certain teachers who, just because I was involved in extracurriculars or after-school programs, something like those lines, I got to know those teachers before I had them. By the time, like, say, I'm in 3rd grade and I'm hanging out with the 7th grade teacher after school for a program based on whatever they're, running. And then come 7th grade, I'm already knowing that we have this dynamic. So that's awesome that they can have something similar as well. I think it does make a difference when you get lost in the crowd. I've been very lucky with all the schools that I went to. St. Peter's, very small. I went to FDR High School, transitioned into public school. Decent sizes. I think my class, surprisingly enough, one of the smaller classes at the time I think we graduated with 280. While most classes were over 300 at FDR at the time. But even still, that wasn't that crazy and got to know a lot of people. And then when I went to college, I went to the College of St. Rose. It's not much bigger than Arlington High School when it comes to the size. Arlington High School is pretty huge for a high school. But the College of St. Rose, it was tight-knit as well. So I felt very lucky in those environments. And it sounds like your kids are very lucky as well to have that, using your words, joyous atmosphere. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a big part of, I think that's probably the biggest differentiator that I can see sort of on the surface.
Yeah.
Is the joyous atmosphere. And then now that I've been there for a while, I see the mechanics underneath that, right? It's very deliberate.
Yeah.
It's not just that we lucked out with great educators, although we have certainly done that, but we're really looking for a very specific type of person who wants to teach a certain way and is comfortable with small class sizes, comfortable with parents texting them, comfortable with really following each child and really paying attention to each child, which is a lot to ask, but that is what our parents are asking us to do. And then we have a great dean of students who really, she does so much, but a lot of what she does is work with parents to get their 8th graders into whatever school it is that they want to go to, whether it's a public school or private school. It's usually a private school. Working with them on financial aid, but also testing and all this stuff, really preparing them for the next stage of their academic career.
That's big.
And it's huge. We have this one student. He graduated from us last year. He now goes to Trinity Pawling, which is another private, which is right up the road from us. And he started. I've gotten to know him because I hang out with the kids. And he started in pre-K and graduated in 8th grade last year. And he went from this kind of shy, but very academically gifted student to being the main character in the school play and head of his class in his 8th grade class at Mizzentop, and then he's gone on to Trinity Pawling, and we're so proud of him. He ended his first year at Trinity Pawling, head of his class.
Amazing.
And he's going to do great things, and he still comes and visits us, and his parents are very involved. And the parent community is also super involved. We have a lot of volunteers. We have a lot of committees that parents are a part of. We have a great board. A lot of parents on that board too. Yeah, it's a very dedicated community that I think is rare in my experience working at other schools. This is a rare gem.
Yeah. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to hear that. And this one student in particular actually reminds me a lot of my journey in private school as well. Because when I went into school, I was always very good at school. And when I left St. Peter's, I was top of my class then too.
Oh, nice.
And it was a very small class. It was like 10 of us. But
still, hey, that's good.
But everybody in the class was very smart. I have to give everybody their credit. But yeah, when I was in kindergarten, I was known as a more quiet kid. And the talent show 3rd grade, this one's a fun one. We made this fake band called the Rough Seas, and we pretended to play along to Old Time Rock and Roll by Bob Seger. And we practiced hard for this. And when we did this talent show, everybody always looked forward to the 8th grade performance because that's always some big performance. But the fact that you're comparing a 3rd grader's performance to the 8th graders, said something. People were like, since when did Connor have that in him? Yeah. And, there were just certain things about the school that, really helped me to blossom. I did a lot of the CYO programs. I too did the theater as well. We had that. I was lead in Music Man. I still love that experience of Harold Hill. But it just goes to show when you have a tight-knit community of people who are dedicated, from the volunteers, the students, to the parents, you can really foster the best out of these kids. And something that you mentioned about the teachers, and I know we want to get into all the mechanics in a second, something you mentioned about the teachers who have a very specific way of how they want to teach or do things differently than the way that a lot of more public curriculums kind of force. I have a lot of friends who are teachers. And they say, people are meddling from on top all the time. And they got into it because they have a passion for teaching and a passion for helping. But then all the politics that go into it makes it very difficult, where, they're getting burnt out in a way, not because of the kids, but really because everybody on top and their interference. Heck, I love working with kids. I was a camp counselor for 12 years. I love doing that. I still do music programs with kids to this day. People say to me, it's like, Connor, why wouldn't you want to be a teacher? Because I don't want to get involved in school systems.
Same.
But it sounds like here, it's a whole different thing where teachers can actually do what they were passionate about.
Totally. We have an 8th grade teacher. He's the 8th grade teacher.
The 8th grade teacher.
I'm not going to out him, because I don't know if he'd love me to talk about this, but he all the kids, like I said, all the kids know, all the teachers basically, whether they're in their grade or not. And this guy, Mr. B, let's call him that, he's scary to the kids.
Oh no.
Except for his 8th graders. So everybody's a little scared of him. They don't know what to make of him. He's tall, he's big, he doesn't smile a whole lot. And then they have him in 8th grade, and you'll ask them for the yearbook, who's your favorite teacher in all the years you've gone to Mizzentop? Mr. B. I mean, immediately.
Really?
The guy is so beloved, right? And I think he's beloved because he gets to insert his sort of dry sense of humor into the class. He gets to do really cool experiments with them. He also does social studies. So he's like really grounding them in some serious, he's taking the kids seriously and really teaching them history.
That's great.
In a way that I think if you just, of course they have textbooks, but if you're going to have he's not dry. He's got a dry sense of humor, but he really infuses his lessons with his character and his love of history. And every teacher does that. I could name them all, but the ones that come to mind are our 5th grade science teacher. You can hear her from, 2 halls down getting excited about, the alligator skull versus the crocodile skull. And she's got the skulls. And,
wow.
And, I mean, it's really cool. And it's so hands-on. And they're doing experiments and they're going on field trips. And there's a lot of hands-on learning. And then but then she's also, if you don't study or if you don't do your homework, she's going to challenge you. She's going to really make sure that you're reaching your full potential. But she's also making it fun. So I think that's... not to say that public schools don't do that. I can only speak from my experience. I went to public school and my kids have gone to public school and it's different. No matter what your intentions are as a public school teacher, you're still beholden to the principal, the superintendent, the school board, federal and state regulations, all these textbooks that you need to get through. And then you've got 25 kids in your class. There's only so much you can do, right? Whereas at any private school, not just Mizzentop, there is just so much more flexibility. And then also on top of that, our head of school started out at Mizzentop as the math teacher.
Oh, really?
A couple decades ago and became head of school over time. And so she gets it, right?
Yeah.
Like she knows what it's like to be a teacher. She's also been a public school teacher. She sort of has set the culture of teaching. And then we also have a great position and a perfect person in that position, director of teacher and learning, who's really making sure that the culture stays and is sort of institutionalized. And no matter who's the head of school or who's teaching, Mizzentop's teaching culture and learning culture remains and is sustainable over time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to talk about, and you alluded to it already a little bit when it comes to the culture, the strong academic curriculum along with the living values education. I think this is probably a good time to get into that if you go with it.
Let's do it.
Where we were talking about the holistic approach more than just simply the academics, but a way of how you really carry yourself through life and certain values that you bring to them. So I'm very curious, what are the living values education that you have and how does it work in the classrooms?
Yeah, great. So I think this is a big distinguisher. So the 12 living values, I think we're the only school that really infuses all of our classes and all of our curriculum with the living values. So I'll list them here because I have them written down.
No, absolutely.
Okay. Living values include honesty, peace, love, responsibility, cooperation, humility, happiness, simplicity, unity, freedom, tolerance and acceptance, and respect. And those are all nice words, right? We all know those words, but the way that we're infusing that and have been since the beginning is, we partner with local nonprofits and volunteer. So the kids are going to do a lot of volunteering over the course of the year, food drives, raising money for certain causes. And each month there's an art project for all the grades where they do, if the month is Unity, their art project is going to revolve around that. And so there's sort of a lot of visual symbols that we're infusing into, we're infusing the values in any way that we can. And then the curriculum is really, when we're talking to the kids about what it means to be a good student, we're not just highlighting the academia and the scholarship of it, but also what it means to be a good human being in the world, a good citizen, wherever they live. A lot of them most of them live in Dutchess County, but, how can you be a good citizen in your community outside of the school? I think, when I talk to alums, that is the biggest thing that stands out to them. There are constant little reminders infused throughout the school year of how to be a good citizen. And I think just us signaling that is an important thing makes a huge difference in the minds of young people. So that's a big thing, and part of my job is raising money for the various things that we do.
Yeah.
Because like any private school, the cost of tuition does not cover all of our expenses, and so we have to fundraise in order to make up the difference. And that is what I highlight, and that is what donors talk about the most. Probably is, I see what you did for my child. I see what you're doing for my child. I see what you're doing for my grandchild. I can see it when they come and visit. This is a human being that's really being served.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That is impressive. I remember one of the things, like when I was in school, and a lot of my peers, a lot of my friends, even when I was working at camp and I was talking to the kids about their experiences as well, at least in New York. Speaking of New York, when it comes to all the standardized testing, the way that everything kind of gets funneled into these kids, and there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure, and to a lot of people, myself included, when I was younger, to kids that I was working with more recently, they felt like a number. They felt like a statistic.
Totally.
And it sounds like through here, through this private school approach, through this living values education, they really get to be seen and felt like the person that they are, where, hey, good grades isn't always meaning like you're a good learner. You could be great at learning in other ways. It's instilling the values of how to learn and ask questions rather than just be looked at as a statistic.
100%.
That's what I'm getting out of this.
100%. Yeah, and now in the age of AI, my fear, and a lot of people's fear, is that sort of statistical way of thinking about human beings is going to just become exponentially worse.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot about AI. It's a big topic everywhere, obviously, and certainly in my home. But at our school, we've been really thinking about AI. We are lucky to have quite a few parents who work in the AI industry. I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah, I would say industry.
We've got a bunch of IBMers. We've got a whole lot of nurses and doctors that are now starting to work with AI. Startup founders as our parents. We've got we've got the gamut. We've got teachers, public school teachers that send their kids to Mizzentop. Last year we decided, all right, AI is upon us. What are we doing here? Like several of the admins started to use it, saw the value of it, saw the pitfalls of it. And so we started asking our parents, what is this? Tell us more about, like, what is this? And we had this one parent who's also a good friend. He's just super involved. And he is very AI progressive and knows a lot about how it works and how it was started and what it means. And we had a whole session with him, with the teachers, just kind of workshopping, what is AI going to do for us, to us? And then what does it mean for the kids? Like, I have a 9-year-old and a couple of younger kids, and I have no idea what the workforce is going to look like when he enters. I don't even know what like high school is going to look like for him. You've got these school districts that are just like, yep, let's do some AI stuff. It's here. We got to do it, right? And so we've been really thoughtful about how we're approaching AI. And what we've come to is that we have to embrace it because it's going to be part of these children's lives from here on out in some way. But we also have to create a space where both those of us who work there and the students can learn about the ways not to use it.
Yeah.
But also leverage it to our advantage. I mean, I think of it as a tool or an assistant, maybe.
Yes.
Where, like if we have a robotics class, how cool would it be to plug in some AI stuff, get some new ideas, 3D print this incredibly cool idea that an AI helped us come up with, and then use that to teach.
Yeah.
So those are the kinds of things that we're thinking about. And in fact, we're building a new, we're calling it the Innovation Hub. And within that hub, which is going to be our first sort of big capital improvement project since we purchased the building, it's a big investment. But in that innovation hub, we're going to have a maker space. We're going to have robotics. We're going to have coding. We're going to have mathematics and physics, and AI is going to be a big feature of that. And so we're going to hire a specialist who is going to help us create the curriculum around that. And we're hoping for, IBM has a big presence here. And so we're thinking about ways that we can partner with larger organizations and corporations who really understand this technology in a way that we can't, and build something beautiful and thoughtful. I think it's going to be great. We had a workshop with our teachers, a lot of whom have worked at Mizzentop for 25 years. And some of them started out like, I don't want to do nothing with AI. AI is the worst. It's going to rot our brains. And I understand that sentiment.
Yeah.
You can make that argument pretty easily. But then we did a workshop with a specialist who came in and taught us a few things and sort of introduced AI as a concept, really, and then how you can use it in education. And some of those people came out like, oh my God, this is not what I thought it was.
Yeah.
I think I can use this. I think, some portion of my curriculum is going to be better. So that's exciting. And also, for the listeners out there who are parents, I am a parent, and I also grapple with this concept of AI and how, I think it's probably, I think it'll be a bigger disruption than the smartphone in terms of like how it changes the world's trajectory.
Yeah.
And the way that we use devices. I think some people want to stop it, and other people have accepted it and are embracing parts of it. But I think no matter what you do, you have to be thoughtful about it. And as an organization, as a school, Mizzentop is being very thoughtful about it because it's like, it's here.
It is here. And I'm glad that you brought up the whole smartphone thing, because this is something that I've thought about and talked about a good number of times. I remember because I was like one of the first kids in my school to get a cell phone. Now, mind you, that was a Nokia brick at the time.
Love those.
So, they still work so well.
Yeah.
But by the time I got into high school, though, that's when really the smartphone phase was happening. And one of the big things about it was, I really did actually start needing the smartphone because certain classes were like, hey, you need access to your email. Hey, you're working on group projects. I can't do a group text on that Nokia, but I can on a smartphone. There's certain things that kept going. But then also I remember at the time people talking about how the smartphones are really dumbing everybody down. It's just the silly cat videos. At the time it was Vine. Now it's TikTok, and you have all of that. And above all, as you said with AI, it's a tool. It's a matter of how you use that tool. And I use my smartphone every day just for basic meetings, scheduling, figuring stuff out, scheduling content, creating content. It's a lot, and it's necessary to what I want to do in my field. When it comes to AI, I'll admit I've been very on the fence. I'll probably even consider myself I guess against, but not fully. It's weird because in the sake of, say, art, entertainment, creativity, I want to see that stay with the person. Personally, that's where I stand. But then we have another person who I interviewed back when I was at the radio station, this wonderful program called Dissolve, which is helping kids with dyslexia and other speech-based issues. And it's this AI algorithm that works with the kids to understand their specific needs when it comes to learning. I'm listening to this and it's like, this is phenomenal. This is how it should be used. And I've spoken to other people in the health field, how AI is helping that. That's great. That's a tool. That's the way that we are bettering ourselves. It's anything where I feel like AI is dumbing us down is where I'm concerned.
Totally.
But it sounds like your teachers, your whole school is really trying to get a good understanding of what this is, more than just like the clickbait headline on Facebook talking about AI that your aunt and uncle shares. No, truly, really getting to the heart of it and how it can be used further.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. Yeah. One of our teachers voiced her concern and said, children need to build neural pathways. This is the time to do it. And if we're having AI write for them and do math for them and all this stuff, right, they're losing out. And I totally agree. And that is where we have to be so thoughtful about how we don't use it.
Yeah.
And, we're adults, right? So our neural pathway, I mean, I don't know. I'd like to think that I'm still learning and growing, but nothing like a 9-year-old or
it's so different. It's so different.
So we have to be really mindful of just like certain things are, allowed only when you're 18 or older. I think certain parts of the internet and certain parts of devices and AI should also be restricted to a certain age.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll get there. I don't know. That's out of our hands, but
that's definitely something I think is going to be coming up in the next 10, 15 years as things progress. We're just not there yet. We're still in the Wild West of it all. This is the frontier.
Yes.
So we're still trying to learn and figure that out to see what that could be.
Yeah.
That's going to be very interesting, but that's something I hope we can follow along with and maybe have you on again a year from now to see how things are going.
Yeah. I was struck by what you said about was it Dissolve?
Yes, Dissolve. They're out of Hyde Park, I believe. We're specifically working with speech-based issues and dyslexia.
That's so interesting because we have a new program the Herbert H. Reddell Learning Center at Mizzentop just opened last year, and is really sort of launching this year. And that's using Orton-Gillingham approach.
Yes, I wanted to ask about that. I have
Yeah.
never heard of it, so I'm very curious what this approach means.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's I don't know how you mentioned AI is so that they're building that into Dissolve. I don't know to what extent we're doing that with Orton-Gillingham, and so I made a note of that to check in. But
Yeah.
so the Orton-Gillingham approach is a nationally recognized approach to teaching children with reading differences, including dyslexia, and it's a very specific approach about how, for example, it's quite tactile, and so you could use a tray with some sand and have the child, with their finger trace out of the sand a letter.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, where it's like really getting into the nitty gritty.
You really feel it, literally. You
Yeah.
feel it.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're building those neural pathways in a way that you're just not going to do with a workbook, right? And we have had children with learning differences that are, excellent academically, but then struggle with the reading or struggle with some part of it. And we've really wanted to have a way to really serve them. And so the Reddell family actually approached us and said, hey, we've got an idea for you. And with a tremendous support from that family, we now have our own dedicated wing of the campus where not just Mizzentop students, but actually students from all around can come and participate in this. And it's usually one-on-one or one-on-two.
Mm-hmm.
We have, specially trained teachers who are teaching this to our students and to other students. And it's wonderful. And I think it really, we didn't even we haven't announced it, and we've already started to get calls from the wider community.
Yeah.
There's such a demand and such a need for this. There are so many kids out there that are just not being served. And this is very Mizzentop. It's like, oh, this kid needs some help with this thing. Let's create a program around it.
Yeah.
Because it's not just that kid. It's going to be several kids, but parents just don't know how to help their kid. And so we're trying to make that easy for people.
Yeah.
So that's new, and it's been a tremendous success. I made a little page on our website about it.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
we'll have to link to that in the
please
description.
Do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to get the word out to people. I think, any way that students with learning differences of any sort, any resources that people can get out to them, they're going to be well served for it.
And pause. We're going to take a quick break from our interviews to hear from our sponsors. First up, we got our friend Andrew O'Grady from MHA of Dutchess County.
Adversity and stress. How do you cope? I'm dealing with a voice issue right now, my own adversity and stress, so let's use AI Andy for the rest of this message. Take it away, AI Andy.
This is Andrew O'Grady, CEO at MHA of Dutchess County. We all move on a scale of mental wellness. It can shift minute by minute, hour by hour, based on what we face. What happens when it piles on? How do you cope? Do you turn to the bottle or vape? Do you medicate with pills not prescribed for that purpose? Do you become short-tempered and argue with others? Are you quick to road rage? These are self-defeating and negative reactions, and they're unhealthy and can lead to self-inflicted further stress. There's no shame in seeking to improve you by engaging in self-care with a therapist. If you do not know where to start, talk to your primary care physician. You can always contact Mental Health America of Dutchess County at 845-473-2500, and if we don't have a specific program to help you, we will help guide you to one.
Thanks, AI Andy. You sound pretty good.
Thanks, Andrew and AI Andy. Next, we have a message from our friend Jeff Feldman from Feldman, Kleiman, Collins, and Sape LLP, attorneys at law.
Hi, I'm Jeff Feldman. In 1986, when Paul Kleiman and I started our practice, our goal was to create a law firm where you could meet with an attorney and feel confident that that attorney would be with you every step of the way. Today, the firm has been successfully trying cases at all levels of state and federal courts throughout the Hudson Valley and Capital District. We have been selected as one of the best personal injury and medical malpractice defense law firms by U.S. News and World Report every year since 2009. For all of those years, we were the only firm chosen in any litigation specialty between Albany and White Plains. Your case is important to us. Giving you the time and personal attention you deserve has always been the hallmark of success. Initial consultations are free of charge and always with an attorney.
September will be Aortic Disease Awareness Month. To prepare us for September, we have a message from nurse leader and health advocate, Tonka Williams.
Peace and blessings, family. I am Tonka Williams, a proud Black woman, a nurse, and your advocate for cardiovascular health and wellness. We're going to talk about something that's quietly claiming the lives of too many of us in the Black community, aortic disease. The aorta is your body's largest artery. When it weakens or tears, it's just not a health issue. It's an emergency. And the painful truth, many of us have never heard of it before. And if we have, we don't always know the signs or how to protect ourselves. That ends today. This isn't just about personal health. It's about protecting our families and building a future where our people thrive. Advocacy is our inheritance. Learn the signs. Get your pressure checked. Ask your doctor about your aorta. Talk to your family. This is how we protect our legacy. My heart, my health, my power. Stay safe, stay strong, and stay here with us. Thank you, and may you walk in health, purpose, and power.
For additional information, please visit the John Ritter Foundation website, johnritterfoundation.org. And please check out the full video at Tonka Williams' YouTube channel at Tonka Williams-aortic-awareness. Up next, we have our friend Philomena Finelli from Impact PR and Communications.
Thanks, Connor. I'm Philomena Finelli, CEO of Impact PR and Communications and a media maven, which is a fancy way of saying that my team and I help companies get in the news, transform leaders into thought leaders, and cut through the clutter with messaging that matters. And we do it all with a smile. Our agency was named the Woman-Owned Small Business of the Year for 2024 by the Metro New York District Office of the U.S. Small Business Administration, and we received the Gold Stevie Award for Women-Run Workplace of the Year, which is an international recognition. But it's not about the awards, it's about the personal interactions. We at Impact PR and Communications pride ourselves on crafting meaningful, results-driven public relations campaigns that are tailored to meet and exceed our clients' goals. If you want to learn more and talk to my team and I, visit prwithimpact.com and let us know that you found out about us from Walsh Wednesday.
Now for a quick word from Duchess Beer Distributors. Throughout the month of August, Duchess Beer Distributors, in collaboration with Stella Artois, is hosting the Mid-Hudson Valley's Perfect Serve Shuffleboard Showdown. Visit one or more of Duchess Beer Distributors' pop-up promotions to play games and win prizes at some of your favorite restaurants and bars in Dutchess and Ulster counties. You can see the list of locations in the description of this episode. Thanks for listening, guys. It's time to get back to the show. And play. This episode of Walsh Wednesday is brought to you by Impact PR and Communications, MHA of Dutchess County, the Council on Addiction Prevention and Education of Dutchess County Incorporated, Dayrock, Locks That Rock Hair Design, A Touch of Naples Pizza and Pasta, Duchess Beer Distributors, Feldman, Kleiman, Collins, and Sape LLP, Attorneys at Law, Tonka Williams on Aortic Health Awareness, and Walsh Valuation. This wasn't on any of our cards, but this is just simply something that I've noticed that you're saying when I was reading in the research before, learning differences. Just the vocabulary that you're using on that. You know, for majority of the time that I was growing up, I remember when I was director of social activities at the College of St. Rose, how, you know, we were taught certain language. And even then it was still, you know, learning disabilities, but still like person first.
Yes.
Always think about that. You keep saying learning differences. All the writing keeps saying learning differences. I love that vocabulary. Could you tell, like, I don't know if it was a conscious choice or not, but from your perspective, tell me why using those words, learning differences rather than learning disability.
Yeah. Do you know what? That is, learning differences is actually a little bit controversial. I'll tell you why.
Interesting.
But okay. So from my perspective, yes, it's conscious, it's deliberate. I think language is very important. Everybody learns differently.
Yeah.
And I think where Mizzentop and probably other private schools really shine is their ability to not cater to, but serve students with a wide range of differences, emotional differences, whatever it is. And so it's the reason we use that language is because it's an inclusive language, and it's also embracing the differences. We're not trying to make kids the same, right?
Yeah.
Like kids are going to be different, and that's why I love kids and love working with kids and love my own kids. I've got 3 of them, and they're so different. And you know, let's embrace it, but also make sure that they're doing well in whatever field that they choose. Here's where it gets controversial, though.
Yeah, I'm curious about this.
Okay, so I have some family members who were once considered learning disabled.
Okay.
I don't know what they self-identify as, but here's the good part about that word disabled. It legitimizes and validates a very real learning challenge, right?
Yes.
And so if you get, especially a diagnosis, if you're lucky and privileged enough to have access to healthcare that will legitimize it through a diagnosis, it helps for numerous things. I mean, for health benefits, insurance, and also, if it's really severe, if you can't work, having disability benefits is very important, and you need that label for it. That's just the way the system is set up. And so some people who are who have whatever difference we're talking about, autism or whatever, are real advocates for maintaining the use of that word, disability, because they feel like,
and it's not a bad thing. The word is not a bad thing at all.
I think in their mind, they're trying to reclaim that word.
Yeah.
Right. And really, because the word is important, there's nothing wrong with it, and they feel disabled. They are disabled. Right. And so for that group of people, using the word learning differences could be, sort of minimizing the actual disability that they have. So it's a little bit tricky.
That's fascinating.
I don't know. It's not like PC versus non-PC. I think it's just like, what are the what kind of access to treatment and care do you get? In our case, we are offering this this program, and so it doesn't require a diagnosis. It just requires that that your child really needs help, and we're there to help.
See, like for instance, with me, very, very bright. I did very well through most of school. Math, I'm great at algebra, but by the time I got to like trig and pre-calc, forget it.
Yeah.
I was lost.
Right.
So, and I was actually just talking to somebody about this recently, where in the classroom setting, it went over my head, like regardless of how much I tried, how much I listened, how much whatever.
Sure.
But I would meet with my teacher after school, like for a 30-minute session before I'd have to run off to whatever extracurricular I had. And the one-on-one approach managed to help me like actually pass this class. And I think that's where the really nice way is like, am I disabled? No, and I'm definitely not. Where that's a learning difference for me. And that's where a great way to use that, where it's like, okay, I'm a bright kid, but I'm not learning in the typical sense. That's a great way to use that. And then you have the learning disability where it's like, oh, you really do have a true diagnosis. This is something that you own. This is something that you're working with. There's room for both. There's absolutely room for both. And I love the way that you were differentiating it for us here on the mic, because I think that's very important. I love the new term of learning differences. It's not something that I've heard often, so thank you for introducing it to me.
My pleasure.
But at the same time, yes, giving the power to learning disability at the same time, because it's not a bad thing. It's just simply there. It's just simply there, and it's working forward through it.
Yeah.
Not trying to minimalize it, as you said.
That's right.
That's
really,
this got real powerful real quick.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that resonated. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot. I mean, we're thoughtful about the way that we use language, of course, and then the way that we look at our kids, right?
Yeah.
I think you have to be. And we're also very, very mindful about how the parents are speaking about their child. How are they describing their child? How's the child self-identifying? Those are all really important pieces of the puzzle. If we're going to have somebody's child for 12 years, both the child and the parents really need to trust us, and we need to have all the information that we can to best serve them. And that's the approach.
Absolutely. From the 12 years that I spent working in a camp, obviously it's not a school, but what you said there about how parents talk to and identify their children, that itself can be so strenuous, because you can have a child with a legitimate disorder or disability, and the parent is waving it off and not getting them the help that they need.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, a parent is calling them all these things as if they have something
right.
when there's really nothing wrong with them.
Yes.
And both are very damaging.
Totally.
So you're right. The right kind of language being used amongst the parents, amongst the students, amongst the self really helps to characterize who they are going forward.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah.
So I hope they do really trust you guys when it's like, hey, let's sit down and talk about this, whatever that might be.
Yeah. Yeah. And we even have older kids come in. We don't just get, pre-K and then we have them for the rest of the time. We also get like mid-semester 8th graders.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, it is tough, but it's almost not enough time to really make an impact I say almost because I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
An 8th grader coming in, in October, leaving a public school, bad situation, whatever it was, not being seen, not being heard, not being challenged, whatever it is. They come to Mizzentop, and over the course of the winter and spring, it's a transformation.
Wow.
And we have this term called, oh, he's been Mizzentoped, or she's been Mizzentoped. And that's not a top-down kind of thing. Like, just by virtue of a new student coming in and being around other Mizzentop students who've been there for a while, through osmosis, they're going to get Mizzentoped, right? Like, they can come in with some kind of behavior stuff that we don't see very frequently, and the other kids are going to make sure that the new kid understands, like, no, we don't do that here, or like, you don't talk to people like that.
Yeah.
And so the living values, that's where the living values really shines, because it's like, it's natural, it's organic.
Yeah.
And the new Mizzentop student graduates and is a different human being. We have a stack of letters from parents who are just like, I cannot believe what you did to my daughter. It's incredible. I just hope it lasts wherever she's going, right?
Yeah.
And so, yes, those are extra challenging situations for us, but we do them. And then, we get new 6th graders or new 7th graders, and they do really well.
That's awesome.
They do really well. Of course there's exceptions, but for the most part, if you're coming from a public school, you're gonna do amazing. It's just a different level of attention that you're getting, and you're being seen for, whatever talent you have or whatever sort of academic holes that need to be filled in. The teachers are going to see it.
Yeah, that's really cool. The theme that I'm really getting from all of this is really trying to find the gray in it all, because with a lot of school districts, especially when you are regimented from federal, state, you have all these things that we were talking about before that really kind of puppeteer everybody. That can get black and white. As much as you try to like force the gray, it can be very tough to. Sounds like here in Mizzentop, you really are embracing the gray, whether that's learning differences or learning disabilities, whether that's behavior, whether that's just the level of joy and the interconnectivity that you guys have. You're really trying to find the gray. It's not just one thing. There's no one size fits all here.
That's right.
And that's the biggest thing there. I don't want this to slip by us. We've talked about this a little bit already, talking about now that you have ownership of the campus, you have that expansion. You already talked about some things that you're already expanding on. I just want to give you a moment right now to elaborate on that if there's anything else that we haven't mentioned in the expansion.
Thank you. Yeah, that's so exciting, very exciting. We're working with a local architect firm that does a lot of big schools and smaller schools, KG&D. They're phenomenal. And they have given us an exceptionally beautiful campus plan. It's so big. And like I said, I'm a fundraiser, so
you're probably looking at it and like your heart is just racing.
It's exciting because I have worked in for-profit startups, and this is the exciting part where you're building something new, but off of like an incredibly strong foundation. And so we have this beautiful campus that we're going to make even more beautiful, more useful to the kids. It's not necessarily about expanding our enrollment, because there's still some room to grow there. But really it's about building a campus that's going to be sustainable for, another 25 years, 50 years, whatever it is. So new gym, new parking areas, a lot of it sort of exterior stuff, and then the inside, really building the inside into a 21st century, maybe even 22nd century school. And so like I said, we're starting with the Innovation Lab. That's a big project, and requires a lot of expertise, tech expertise. And that's managed. So from a fundraising perspective, yes, we can do this. The other stuff, that's going to take a few years.
Understandable.
And so I'll be back here in a couple of years, and I'll tell you about the new gym. And
that's awesome. Oh, that's cool. No, we're definitely going to have to keep everybody up to date on that stuff. And then with the things that you have already, obviously the new gym, working on the STEAM programs to build upon it and to add new stuff. But what about the extracurriculars and electives that you currently have set things apart?
Oh, yeah. Great. Yeah. So electives is new. We have not had electives, and really? I don't think that this is very common, actually. Okay. So we have this new electives program, and basically the kids will choose an elective per trimester, and it can be anything from sewing to the one that I'm doing, which is Shark Tank Junior, where they're going to learn how to pitch a business idea and raise money for it.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
There's AI specific electives. There's all sorts of electives that the teachers and staff are offering. And it's so cool. And it's just like yet another commitment and investment in the whole child. Some of these are going to be, not going to be useful to them maybe in their sort of academic careers, and some of them certainly will be. But like, we want to teach financial literacy. Why is that not a course?
Right.
Why is that? I didn't know anything when I graduated from a very good college, and I didn't know what I was doing financially. I was such a rookie. And
one thing I am so mad about, so mad about, is the fact that home ec classes have disappeared from schools. I remember like watching movies and TV shows and people at a home ec class learning how to be in the kitchen, learning a little bit more about their finances. It may not have been perfect, but
was amazing.
It was still a little something.
Yes.
It wasn't everything, but it was a little something to get you through the door. I didn't have a home ec class when I was like in high school. Yeah. And I was really disappointed in that. Yeah. All the time I say is like, teach me how to balance a checkbook. Teach me how to do some of these taxes. Teach me how to use the stove. Like stuff like that. I don't know. As you can tell, I'm getting very animated. Let me calm down.
No,
but it's something that I wish was there more.
I think it's a big, I mean, because that's also like something that AI can't do for you, right? Like, well, actually, I might be wrong about that. Yeah, like I have used AI to look into my fridge and suggest what I should make for dinner. It works. It just sees what you have in there, and it's like, you should totally
make. That's crazy.
Yeah. So let's not underestimate what AI can do. Yeah. But yes, financial literacy, that should be a no-brainer at every school. At really like starting in 4th grade, and it's not. So anyway, so that's an elective. We've got a cool electives program, and then after school, yes, there's a lot of great stuff, and there's just like so much opportunity. Like I said, I wish I went to Mizzentop. There's so much opportunity that I didn't have going to a public school, to just like grow as a human being and grow academically and grow emotionally, and yeah, I mean. I work there, so I'm biased, but like I really I've worked at a lot of places, and this is a place that really is like, this is worth it.
Amazing.
Worth it for me.
That's so cool. Yeah. It's funny that you said like it's not something that you see very often when it comes to the electives. I'm like, what are you talking about? I see that all the time. I thought about it as like high school, yes, but like not necessarily like elementary and middle school.
You're right.
And you're right. And I was like, oh, you're right. I didn't really have that in elementary and middle school. The one thing I remember, and I think this was during the school day. And I'm so sorry to anybody out there if I'm getting this wrong. We had a school newspaper, and I'm pretty sure that was like an elective we could do during the school day, and which was really cool. I was one of the animators. I made cartoons for it too. So
that's awesome.
So we had like our typical newspaper, and of course I was the comic section.
Sure.
That was me. But that was a really cool thing to do. But yeah, you're right. Besides that, I really don't remember electives until high school.
Yeah, it's a high school thing for sure. I mean, I'm sure there's schools out there doing it in,
but you don't hear it often enough.
Yeah.
No, and that's great. And then, what you're saying about the level of electives and the level of extracurriculars and the things that you said about like having the opportunity to do stuff, going to public high school. And when I went to FDR, I loved it. I took advantage of everything. And I was blown away by how many people I met in college who told me how little their high schools had, how little there was to offer, how little they were able to take advantage of. I look back and I feel very, very lucky in my time where I was like, I really got to do the gambit. Yeah. I did everything from arts and theater to any sport I could get my hands on. I was in lighting and sound. I worked with student government. I worked with going to the schools to work with the younger kids. I did everything.
Yeah.
That's not everybody else's experience.
That's right.
And I got very lucky in mine. Yeah. So to be able to give that luck and opportunity to kids growing up right now and future generations, hopefully, that really is incredible.
I think it's incredible also because a lot of these well-funded public schools and non-well-funded, they're losing a lot of funding. It's not a great spot to be in. And that's that trend, I think, I anticipate will only continue. Yeah. And so even if you're fortunate to go to, a great public school, it's really tough. There's a lot of I know from experience, some of my friends, I'm just hearing like, oh yeah, science just got cut, or, that this field trip can't do it. And it's just unfair. Like these kids, whether you go to public or private, you deserve the best. And so anyway, so Mizzentop is there to provide our students, those things. But I do feel awful for some of the things I'm hearing out in the community. It's just Man, it's rough out there.
It is rough out there. So it's nice to see that glimmer of light, that glimmer of hope, hoping to get these kids Mizzentop. No, I think it's great. We've been here for a while. I've been holding up a lot of your time. I really appreciate your
been a
time.
pleasure.
It's been great. Before we completely wrap this up, do you have any last little nugget that you want to share with the Walsh Wednesday listening audience, whether it's about the school, whether it's about education, anything? Do you have any last little nugget you want to share?
Well, besides taking a look at the Mizzentop website, I just from a parent to anybody really, think about, I would suggest that we all stay deliberate about how we engage with AI. I cannot stress this enough. Like the speed at which it is evolving is so beyond what we can comprehend, and it is going to change the world. It already has, but it's going to be exponentially changed. And I think as a society, as a local community, we should all be thinking really hard about how we want that to look and how we want to shape it. It's a big one.
Don't worry, we're good. No, it's just been a while. It does that.
Is this
it's still
AI?
recording.
Did it shut the recording off?
It's like, we were being nice to you, AI. No, the recording's still going. It's just the screensaver.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being on.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you. And of course, you can learn more about the Mizzentop School, their various programs, expansions, and more by going to their website. We're going to link that in the description of this episode, so definitely check that out. I'm Connor.
I'm Martin.
And as always, we're glad we get to
Spend some time.
And that's a wrap on this week's episode. Much love to our sponsors this week: Impact PR and Communications, MHA of Dutchess County, Locks That Rock Hair Design, Dutchess Beer Distributors, A Touch of Naples Pizza and Pasta, the Council on Addiction Prevention and Education of Dutchess County, Tonka Williams on Aortic Health Awareness, Feldman, Kleiman, Collins, and SAPE LLP, Attorneys at Law, Walsh Valuation, and Dayrock. Thank you to our Walsh Wednesday All-Stars, all of those who have generously contributed to the Walsh Wednesday 2025 Fund Drive. You can see the list of names on screen or in the description of this episode. And of course, thank you to our Walsh Wednesday Warriors: Jim Robinson, John Newhall, Meg Boyce, and Jenna Hess. These individuals have pledged $100 or more to Walsh Wednesday for 2025, either through the GoFundMe or our Patreon. You can support this channel by becoming a Patreon member with memberships as low as $5 a month. With that, you can get behind-the-scenes content, your name featured in the credits of each episode, and access to the Spend Some Time chat. You can find that and more by scanning the QR code on your screen or by going to the links in the description. As always, I'm Connor Walsh, and I'm glad we get to spend some time.